Comparing the suburbs of Denver, Colorado to each other is a very important step in choosing the right place to live. Not every town has what you're looking for, and sometimes they can actually be close enough that you're curious which one's better. How does one town stack up against another? So let's compare Westminster to Broomfield, both northern suburbs of Denver that are relatively close to the city. But despite being right next to each other, are there differences that would make you avoid one like the plague and sprint to the other? Let me show you. Now, I just mentioned that Broomfield and Westminster are both northern suburbs of Denver. Westminster is quite literally the next big suburb northwest of the main part of Denver. As a result, Westminster is a great suburb to live in if you're wanting to get into Denver easily. If your work takes you to the heart of the city, it's only about a 20-minute drive into downtown, excluding traffic. And the main route you'll take would be Route 36, which comes down from Boulder to the northwest, all the way to the connecting point at I-25. Now for Broomfield, it is a bit farther north from Denver, right above Westminster. It sits a bit farther along Route 36, thus making the commute to Denver longer. About a 30-minute drive excluding traffic. So it doesn't fare as good compared to Westminster if you're looking at getting into Denver. But where it does stand out is if you're heading to Boulder. Broomfield is the closer suburb to this city, and if you're trying to minimize your exposure to traffic, it can be a better option. So on this front, it's really just a matter of how long you want your commute into Denver or Boulder to be, and how much traffic you're willing to tolerate and avoid, because you're going to encounter it regardless. Now let's take a look at the cost of living in either suburb. So first, looking at the real estate market, the median price for a single family home in Westminster sits right now at around $580,000 compared to Broomfield's $685,000. So Westminster is $105,000 less in price. But hold on, before you lean over to Westminster on this, let's look a bit deeper. We have to look at size too. Based off these numbers and the current median price per square foot, Westminster homes are around 2,320 square feet, while Broomfield homes are around 2,700 square feet. So Broomfield homes are about 400 square feet larger. Perhaps that's not a significant difference though. So let's look at some other factors. Westminster is an older suburb. The median year built for properties is 1987, with an overwhelming majority of properties built in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And less than 10% of homes were built after 2010. Broomfield, on the other hand, well, the median year built is 2001, with a majority of homes being built in the 2000s and 10s. Quite literally 50% of all Broomfield homes were built after 2000. So from an overall perspective, yes, Westminster has the more affordable home, but it also has the smaller homes and the older homes. Now, I'm not saying that this immediately makes Westminster a bad choice. Just because a home was built in 87 doesn't mean it has an 87 interior. There are a ton of renovations being done on older properties throughout the Denver area. You can find very top-notch properties in either suburb if you or your agent knows where to look. But now looking at the rental market, the average rent for properties across the board in Westminster is about $2,500 a month compared to Broomfield's $2,700 a month. But okay, let's break that down. If you're looking for a one-bedroom apartment, the average rent in Westminster is about $1,400 per month with an average size of 712 square feet. For Broomfield, the rent for a one-bed is $1,700 a month with an average size of 753 square feet. Okay, so it's very clear here that to rent, it's a much better option to do so in Westminster. And overall affordability leans there as well. But in the grand scheme of owning a home, well, you may have to factor in more than just immediate cost and see what works for you. So for our next comparison, I'm going to be talking about the activities that you can do within either suburb, but exclusively within the suburbs themselves. Of course, either location gets the added benefit of being close to Boulder and Denver. So including all the fun things to do along the Front Range is equal to either one. So for Westminster, there are a ton of spots to visit. One that really stands out and has a name for itself is the Westminster Butterfly Pavilion, which is a zoo and indoor animal conservatory with hundreds of butterfly species and other invertebrates. It is a fantastic place for people of all ages to go and marvel at all the different kinds of animals. Another spot to go and visit is out west, and that's the Stanley Lake Regional Park. Stanley Lake is a massive 1,000-acre lake inside a 3,000-acre park that offers you an opportunity for paddleboarding, kayaking, fishing, and camping. It's a wonderful spot if you're looking to take a quick break from city life and experience some of the beautiful Colorado outdoors, while not necessarily having to take the weekend off. Those are just 2 spots. If you want to hear a bit more about Westminster, check out some of my videos that dive deeper into the suburb. But now for Broomfield, one very noteworthy location is Flatiron Crossing, which is a massive mall located on the southwestern side of the suburb. There are a ton of shops and restaurants, not only within the complex, but also in the surrounding areas. It is a fantastic spot to go and catch a movie or splurge on some clothes shopping. Now, another spot in Broomfield that is a bit more outdoorsy and athletically oriented is the Broomfield Commons open space. This is an absolutely massive open area with several soccer fields, a football field, dog park, recreational center, and of course a massive open space to enjoy a morning walk. It is a fantastic place to spend the afternoon or evening, even if it's just for a peaceful stroll or a game of pickup soccer. Plus, it's located in the center of town, so a drive there from anywhere in Broomfield isn't that bad. Now that's just a few differences between Westminster and Broomfield that we've talked about. And I've left out all the other aspects of living in the greater Denver area that both suburbs can take advantage of. Have you gotten a feel for which suburb interests you more? There's never gonna be a clear-cut answer here because everyone has different and slightly specific goals, especially when deciding where to move to. But what I recommend doing now is checking each suburb individually if you haven't already. That way you can build a much clearer picture of that suburb and see if it's a good fit. This is Life on the Front Range. I'll see you there.